Families on both sides of the Hudson River are now facing an onslaught of sales and marketing of recreational use marijuana. And there are no filters for our kids. They see everything and often have access to weed on the way home from school. So how do you talk to your kids about cannabis? James Ford went to the Bronx to learn how a creative and important after-school curriculum will hopefully make it easier to have those tough conversations.
Now we have social changes.
You're watching a 10th grader do what she does every week, lead a group of middle schoolers in discussions of sensitive topics.
This could also be a red flag.
Including making good choices regarding drugs, especially cannabis. This is an after-school program called JAM, or Just Ask Me, at PSIS 218. The school and the JAM program were founded by the service organization WEDCO. It has teens who'd once done the program as preteens lead sessions now.
They're actually the ones that are most at risk for these behaviors. So targeting them as the facilitators increased all of our chances of actually becoming leaders.
Nicole Jennings founded WEDCO's JAM program. Its teen leaders are living the program's purpose.
Being able to educate children into the consequences that they'll face in the future will help the next generation make sure that they're careful with what they do.
They said that within steps of the school, cannabis is just available. And we saw that firsthand.
This illegal shop, with people rolling joints out front, is across the street and a few doors down.
There's also, you may not have it, but you may have a friend.
Teen peer leaders like Isaac Brito help preteens in the program make healthy decisions about marijuana use, including letting them know that most teens don't use marijuana.
I'm able to talk to another young person in a more calm, more connected type of way. It's not like it's your parent telling you to not do something, because then you're going to want to do it.
Lisandra Ortega is one of the younger people in the program.
Since they're closer to our age rather than adults, they understand.
And proof that JAM's life lessons last, she is the daughter of someone who was in WEDCO's JAM program.
Back in 2002, it brings them that opportunity to speak and ask those questions without being screamed at. So it's really good. It's really positive. I really like it.
Devon Russell is the CEO of the Women's Housing and Economic Development Corporation, WEDCO for short. Devon, thanks for joining us. I want to talk to you. What was the motivation for wanting to start this program?
So JAM began in 2007 because a group of women at the time, young women, they were in the 7th grade, were concerned that there were early pregnancies, teen pregnancies around their cousins and family members and other friends. And they thought, wait a minute, why am I not learning anything about reproductive health in school? And so they advocated for the beginnings of what the city now calls their reproductive health program. And we took it upon ourselves to begin the Just Ask Me program because of what those young women wanted to do. It's grown to include the substance use because back in 2019, New York State was just on the brink of legalization, and I looked across the landscape and I knew the state of affairs in the Bronx, right? I knew that cannabis was easily accessible. I knew that kids were trying, and I thought, wait a minute, no guardrails. So now we're gonna hit the market with high potency THC because again, the THC that was making its way into New York State back in 2019 is much higher than the THC that you and I know when we were children, right? Not 4%, but in some cases 98%. And we were doing nothing, and I had heard nothing about how do we educate children about dangers, what to look for, and so on.
Did you find that kids were coming to your after-school program and talking about weed?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we did, fast forward to legalization in 2021, and we knew that we were going to add that to JAM. Then we began the conversations. What we learned, there were 6th graders who were reporting, hey, the kid who sits next to me is a weed head. This is 6th grade. Right. We knew that out of the 100 and some odd 6th graders at the school, at least 12% of them were trying weed. And
I'm guessing back in the day, it was a big brother or an older cousin. Now it's just right there.
Exactly.
On the street.
So what happened with legalization, again, maybe unintentionally, accessibility became even more, right? So people just knew that, there's one smoke shop on the corner now, but there are going to be several later, as we're seeing is the case. And the other thing was it kind of created a permission structure, right? So weed, yeah, let's kind of all play with it because it's not dangerous, right? It was being sold to us that it's medicinal. Right. Kids are anxious and it will calm your anxiety. So the permission structure came along with the accessibility. And I knew that that was a real tipping point.
Did you get any pushback from parents?
No.
Were you surprised at that?
No.
Why?
Because I knew that parents in general with reproductive health, right, the same thing. Well, I don't want to talk to my kids about sex, someone else has to do it. And I fear that the same thing would happen with respect to this. Kids are out there experimenting. I don't really have the information that will help deter and inform, but maybe someone else will. So they were happy with what we were telling them that we were about to do.
So this after-school program is in the Bronx, but obviously parents all across our region are going to be watching this. The laws and recreational use of marijuana is for adults.
Yes.
What's the warning that you have for kids who are out there thinking about picking up something at the bodega or the corner store on the way home from school?
So the warning is you've got to understand the science and recognize that the THC, that is the psychoactive chemical in the cannabis, is not good for your growing brain. The science proves it. I mean, unequivocally, young brain, not good with THC. And so what our program aims to do is to make sure that kids are understanding the science. They're also understanding the mechanisms that bring the products to you, right? What do we know about marketing?
Right.
And we kind of studied the way cigarettes were marketed back in the day and the way vaping was marketed to young people back in the day. And that too is a part of the program. How do you say no? What are the guidelines around the choice of products that you're out there using, whether it be edibles, vaping? The science leads our conversation.
Devon, I want to continue this conversation with you on the other side of the break, so please stick around.
Sure.
We'll be right back. We're back with Devon Russell, CEO of WEDCO, a nonprofit based in the Bronx, which has created a much-needed cannabis curriculum for its after-school program. So, Devon, I want to ask you, I mean, this is an after-school program, but the kids are in class for 6 hours before they even get to you. Yep. Have you found that there's some kind of cannabis education component during the school day?
No. So what we did, we actually created in-school, school day type education. Same way we do JAM, we have pushed into 2 other schools that are our partner schools, and we are providing education during the school day because, of course, it's critical. The disappointment for us has been the fact that the Office of Cannabis Management has done nothing yet around education. We thought that they would lead this legalization, initiative with education.
But there's money allocated for that.
There's money allocated. There's supposed to be a percentage of sales set aside for education. Just about a week or so ago, an RFP was released so that you can actually seek grant funding to build programs. Not that this is not important, but that RFP targets mental health. That's connected to the use of cannabis. We want to address that, but we also want to address prevention, because that's the key, especially when we're talking about 12, 13, and 14-year-old children.
The clock is ticking, so what do you think the holdup is?
I don't know. My appeal to the governor and to everyone involved, our elected officials, is let's do more. It's something that we've been talking about since 2019. We have to do more around education. We have the evidence. In all the other states that have legalized before New York State, we see the train coming. Not good for kids. Cannabis use disorder up, mental health disorder up, use among teens up.
And do you think there are lessons to be learned for parents who are in a suburban setting? I would imagine the same model applies.
Same model applies. One of the things that we do, which we love about our program, is that it's peer-led. So you have kids who are in high school talking to kids who are beginning 6th grade or 5th grade even. And that we have found to be a very successful way. You've heard the kids talk about the fact that, oh yeah, it's like I'm talking to someone who really understands where I am. And that's a model that we know works, and people should be doing it more and more across the entire country.
Devon Russell, CEO of WEDCO, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for creating this program.
Thanks for having me.